Welcome to the Marketing Mentor Podcast with Ilise Benun, founder of marketing-mentor.com and author of 7 books, including The Creative Professional's Guide to Money. Since 2008, Ilise has been interviewing her clients and other successful professional creatives who are doing what it takes to stop the feast or famine syndrome, get better clients, and command the fees they deserve, and sharing the nuts and bolts of what they've learned so you can do it too. You can find more at marketing-mentor.com. And now, here's Ilise Benun.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Welcome back. It's 12 after the hour. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Thanks for being part of my day. Always a pleasure to continue to be with you. I'm Jim Blasingame, and you're listening to the Small Business Advocate Show, and I'm glad you're here. Ilise Benun's here. Ilise is an original founding member of our Brain Trust. 17 years coming up pretty soon. 17 years she's been a member of our Brain Trust. She's the founder of Marketing Mentor, the author of Stop Pushing Me Around. It's a book for introverts, and a number of other books. The Art of Self-Promotion, for example. She's one of the top marketing experts for small businesses I have ever known, and she's our good friend. Ilise Benun, welcome back.
Thank you, Jim. Great to be here again.
Good to have you back. So, Ilise, I love talking about niches. In fact, I devoted an entire chapter in my new book to the concept of niches. I like to talk about niches of niches, even. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Niches of niches, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's the thing that has made the small business sector so robust in the United States, especially, hasn't it?
Yes, and look, there's just so much more competition everywhere in every business these days, and more people going out on their own, whether by choice or by default. And to me, it seems clearer and clearer that the best way to set oneself apart is to focus and specialize and choose your niche and then own that niche. Mm-hmm. And become entrenched in a community of people and to become known for a certain specialty within that community, as long as it's viable. That, to me, is the key to success.
I don't think there's any question about that. And that could be writ large or it could be writ small, but the focus is not different, right? In other words, you could do $100,000 a year in revenue or $10 million a year in revenue, and they're two completely different companies, but both of them could be done focusing on a niche.
Absolutely.
The focus is the volume may be different, but the focus is the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how do you how do you find a niche and how you develop it?
So the first thing I say about this is that it's not black and white. It's not like, oh, my niche is X, and now I'm going to do nothing ever again but X. It really is a process to determine where you have something to offer, whether it's services or products, and who are the people who value and will pay for those products or services. Mm-hmm. You have to find that first. And I think part of the problem, especially with a lot of the creative professionals that I come across and work with, is they start with, what do I want to do? And then who needs it? And I think this other way of thinking about it is more effective, which is, what does the world out there need, and where does that overlap with what I know how to do, am competent at, can offer, and enjoy? Mm-hmm. And those, places in the market become the possible niches to explore. And it's through outreach, it's through interaction, it's through networking that you begin to get feedback, positive or negative, about the value of your services within each niche. And little by little, as you get that information, you experiment with your positioning and your elevator pitch and your emphasis and the service offering that you bring. And little by little, you adjust it to the needs of the market until you are that go-to person.
Well, and you also have to, if you're in the marketplace, you got to come back to something you said earlier. Somebody is going to need to pay for this at some point. And you can have all the courage, you can have all the belief, you can have all the stick-to-itiveness that anybody can have behind the niche. And it may be a beautiful thing, but if people won't pay for it, then you're not really a business.
Right, and they need to pay what you have to charge also.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of people complaining, I've got clients, but they refuse to pay what I want to charge. Mm-hmm. And to me, those are not the right clients.
Well, or maybe you just haven't explained it to them the right way.
That's possible, too.
You haven't developed it. You started out on the wrong foot with them or something.
Or you haven't marketed it well.
Well, when I started my consulting business 26 plus years ago, I started out at a fourth of what I wound up charging for that service. Mm-hmm. And I had the same customers. Some of the customers I had in the beginning were still paying me 4 times that much, 6 or 7 years later. But it was because they liked my Kool-Aid and I continued to add value. That's what you got to do, though, right?
Yes, and one of the main
and I had a niche. I definitely had a niche.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is the way you especially add value, is by being extremely competent in the particular area, so that you can say, I know how to solve this problem better than anyone.
And another thing, a niche could look, the niche element of your idea might not look like a product. It might be availability, right?
Tell me more what you mean.
Well, for example, my clients, when I had my consulting company, it never occurred to them that I wasn't available to them. They knew that they could call me anytime. In fact, they also thought that there was a pretty good chance that if they thought that I was thinking about them, even though I wasn't talking to them. See what I mean? It was the relationship we had was kind of a niche. Because my product were my advice mostly. Mm-hmm. But what was valuable to them and what made them want to pay me a higher rate was my availability. See what I mean?
I see that as a niche, though.
That's part of it, though. Mm-hmm. That's part of what made me able, to be successful.
So how are you defining niche then?
Well, a niche is a place that you carve out in the marketplace for you. That defines you. You define it, and it defines you. Hold on to that thought. Marketing-mentor.com, right?
That's right.
We're going to come back and talk some more about niches and debate this issue with our good friend Ilise Benun. I'm Jim Blasingame. Stay with us.
Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., intended for the private use of our audience. Except as otherwise provided by copyright law, all other copying, redistribution, or publication without prior written consent is prohibited. All rights reserved. Insperity presents the Small Business Advocate Show with Jim Blasingame. This is a copyrighted production of Small Business Network, Inc., all rights reserved.
Went down to Timber Alley, see what was going on.
Well, Stevie Ray bringing us back, the late great Stevie Ray Vaughan. 23 after the hour. Thanks for staying with me. I'm Jim Blasingame. I am the Small Business Advocate, and my websites are smallbusinessadvocate.com, and for my new book, The Age of the Customer, ageofthecustomer.com. Ilise Benun is our guest, our good friend, a longtime original founding member of our Brain Trust, author of Stop Pushing Me Around, also some of the art of self promotion. I'll get that out in a minute, and a number of other books. Marketing-mentor.com is her website. You can find all her things there, all the things she does. You've got a number of marketing offerings there, don't you, Ilise?
I do. I have a lot of products, actually, what I call marketing tools, and the latest one is called the Pick a Niche Kit. And
Pick a Niche Kit.
It's a kit.
I like it.
It takes you step by step through the process of understanding the mindset of picking a niche and then choosing a viable niche for yourself.
Give us a taste of how that works. You mentioned earlier, you talked about some of the things, how to find and develop your niche. You got to get somebody to pay for it. You got to get somebody who wants it, and hopefully they don't just do it one time. They come back, right? That's another thing.
Absolutely, and that's part of you becoming entrenched in or part of a community where you are the go-to resource. And in the Pick a Niche Kit, I go over 10 different niches that I've identified and that you could put yourself in. I see a niche as something that you kind of wrap yourself in. And some of them are broad, like an umbrella niche, under which there are 2 or 3, perhaps 4 different markets, or a very narrow niche, like the number 3 is a kind of vertical and horizontal niche, where, for example, I do marketing or email marketing services for graphic designers. I don't do anything else. It's that narrow. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of niche number 11, which is a new one that I came up with recently that I've been writing a blog post about. It's kind of related to what you were saying earlier, because niche number 11 is when you focus on your special gift or talent. And it sounds like that is what you were talking about when you carve out that niche for yourself. What is your special gift or talent that is appropriate for or appealing to or needed by a particular market who can pay for it?
Mm-hmm. So could a niche be, but you don't think a niche could be where I happen to find 10 people that like the way I do what I do, even though what I do is what other people do. I found 10 people. You don't think that's a niche, do you?
No.
Okay.
No, a niche would be the thing that you do that those 10 people like. Mm-hmm. What is it that's special about it?
And that I've limited it to 10 people.
Right, and maybe there are more than 10 people.
Right, but maybe I don't only need 10 to be successful.
That's fine. But to me, the niche is not the people, it's the thing about you. Thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And see, I think, this is a healthy debate, folks. This is not we're not disagreeing in a lot of ways. It's just that the point I think you should take from what we're saying, Ilise, is that other people get to define what a niche is for them. You and I we agree on 90% of this, but where I disagree a little bit, and where we disagree a little bit, is that I think your niche can be whatever you make of this, whatever it is that whatever special sauce that you've come up with to make people want to do business with you, that's unique to you. I think that's part of your niche.
I agree. I don't think it's not part of your niche. It's just that there's another part of it. It takes 2 to tango, and that is the market.
Right. I agree with that.
And that's the hard part for people, is not identifying what's special about them for the most part. They can figure that out. But then who needs it? That's your niche.
Do you think people have a hard time pricing their niche?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's one of the reasons people fail with their niches, don't you?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I see a lot of people just having trouble complicating things when it comes to pricing in the first place.
We've talked about that in the past.
Yes. And I think, actually, I'm writing a course on pricing, and I'm distilling it down into 3 essential steps, because I don't think it's all that complicated. You want to know what they are?
Yeah.
All right, the first one is figure out what you must charge. The second one is find out what your prospects can pay. And the third one is come to an agreement.
Mm-hmm. Say it again.
That's pricing. Figure out what you must charge. Find out what your prospects can pay. come to an agreement.
That's it. I agree with that. Every bit of that. Because the first part is you have to have a certain amount per cycle with a customer. Because if you don't, you can't pay your bills. You can't survive.
Right. You have to know what that is.
And then there's a balancing act between that and what they will pay, right?
That's right.
If you have to have $50 an hour or $100 an hour, but they can't pay that, then you got a problem.
Right. You don't come to an agreement. And
then the other one, you don't come to an agreement. I like that. So why don't you come back another time and let's talk some more about this, especially the pricing thing.
Sure.
How about that? When maybe the next time we'll do this.
I'd be happy to.
Marketing-mentor.com. Ilise Benun, ladies and gentlemen. I told you we'd get smarter when Ilise joined us. Ilise, thanks for being here. Good job. Come back soon.
Thank you, Jim. Good to be here.
Ilise Benun.
Thanks for listening. Now go try out what you've learned. If you like what you hear, you can go to marketing-mentor.com and sign up for Ilise's quick tips from Marketing Mentor and her free 30-minute mentoring session to get your burning questions answered. Check out what's on sale in the Marketing Mentor shop, like the Pick a Niche Kit, proposal bundles for designers and copywriters, and the 30 Minutes a Day marketing plan. Ilise is also the host of the How Design Live podcast, a programming partner for How Design Live, the largest design conference, and you can learn all about that at howdesignlive.com. Until next time.